where secrets reside. Look toward Tyson and Mike is your guide. From Texas skies, a tale to unravel. Today's episode, the Aurora Crash Travel. 1897, a story untold. A UFO crash, the legends unfold. Welcome to the Full-Grown Pizza Podcast, where conspiracies brew, legends outlast, cryptids and mysteries. Our journey is vast. Today we explore the Aurora Crash. So get around, let stories ignite, we're strange and shed some light. This is the podcast taking its flight, feeling the secrets of that fateful night.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Full Grown Pizza Podcast. This is episode 17. And today we are going to be going into the Aurora UFO crash, Aurora Texas UFO crash of, is it 1897, I believe?
Yep,
So,
1897.
yeah, so we're going to get into that. I don't know a whole lot about that, but make sure to hit the like and follow button as well as the subscribe and notification bell. We go live every Sunday around 3 p.m. Mountain Time, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you know exactly when we start the episode. And yeah, let's get into it.
Okay. So this is one of the earliest recorded UFO crashes. When people think about like historical UFO crashes, they think about Roswell because that's one of the best known.
Yeah.
This happened actually 50 years before that. And it was actually 6 years before they even started doing airplane flights with the Wright brothers. So there was a lot of things in the sky back then, you know?
Yeah. That's
So
got to
it's
be
not hard
weird being like back then to see something like flying up in the
know,
sky
somebody
that's not a
flying in the
bird
sky.
or, Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the way the story goes is that on April 17th, 1897, about 6 a.m., this Judge Proctor, which you'd think would be a pretty good witness, you know, being back in the day. And
Yeah,
judges
judge.
were really
Sure.
pretty dependable back then.
Right.
And so he sees this cigar-shaped UFO crash into his windmill and basically explode into pieces. And
Weird. Okay.
so
When you say
crash
windmill, you mean like a big windmill for like?
Yeah, like I think it's probably about 30. They don't really go into the description of the windmill. I think it's probably about 30 feet tall. I mean,
Okay.
it was back in the day, so it was pretty decent size. He's a judge. He probably has pretty good money. So
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, not like those European, not like that one that like Frankenstein ran into. Just like one of those regular steel windmills.
yeah,
Right.
the steel ones that you
Gotcha.
use them to pump water, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So he had one of those, probably, you know, not very common back then because they're pretty expensive probably to put up, you know.
Yeah.
Especially in a small town. Aurora's about a little bit outside of Dallas, a little north of Dallas. And so they see this UFO, this cigar-shaped UFO, crash into this windmill, and they go to the crash site. And according to the article, they found a body that was not of this world.
Whoa. What the heck?
And so they take this body, and being, you know, Texans back in that day, they give it a burial where they say they gave it Christian rites. So I guess they
Yeah.
do whatever they do with Christian.
Yeah, like the
burial.
Catholic rites or whatever. When someone
Which I guess
passes.
they
Yeah.
do back in the day, but
Huh. Well, that's actually kind of interesting because so when you mentioned like, oh, it's a cigar-shaped thing, what I kind of thought is it sounds like a missile of some kind, maybe but
Yeah, if you look at they had a.
but if it was big enough to have some kind of life form in it, then you know it's
Yeah, it's gotta be
probably
pretty good size.
yeah, it's probably pretty big.
I mean, if you think about it, great, they're not that big, but it's still gotta be big enough to fit one of them inside. So
Sure, yeah, that's crazy
And
though.
so-
Are there like descriptions of what it looked like, or just otherworldly? I don't know.
they don't go into too much detail. They just said
Yeah.
it was out of this world. And all we have is the one article. I mean, there's been episodes on it, like on Ancient Aliens and UFO Hunters.
Yeah,
They didn't go too much, but I believe that it was probably more like a gray alien because of how small the craft was. And what's strange is they said that the craft was actually going like really slow. It was like going to 10 to 12 miles an hour.
weird.
It's strange. And then it crashed
And
into
it
a
blew
windmill,
up.
which is-
Like, I mean, did it actually like crash and blow up and
That's what
stuff?
they
I
said.
mean,
They
that's
they
kind of
said there was
crazy to
debris
think
for
that.
over a couple of acres. So maybe it was like maybe it just
Maybe it was a
like
missile.
I mean, even if
Maybe
you're
a manned
riding
missile.
like a dirt bike or a motorcycle down the road at 10 miles an hour and you hit something, you're not gonna freaking explode and like, oh my god.
And it's
Unless
like
you're in a Hollywood
destruction.
movie.
Yeah, that's
and you're
true.
like 30 feet off the ground. I don't know if you're gonna really die.
You're in a Michael
but-
Bay movie.
I know,
You're definitely exploding.
Exactly. Michael Bay is like, oh, come on, we need to do more with this. You can't just crash at 10 miles an hour.
Michael
with
Bay's
no-
like, I want to make the movie about this.
Yeah. He like went back in time and changed the reporting on this to mention there was a big
Yeah.
explosion, so he has an excuse to make a movie about it.
Yeah, according to the article, it said it sailed directly over the public square, and when it reached the north part of town, collided with the tower of Jed Proctor's windmill and went to pieces with a terrific explosion,
Wow.
scattering debris
Sounds
over
like
several
Michael Bay.
acres of ground. So it's probably a pretty big explosion if it scatters debris over several acres.
Or this is just an early account of the media being sensationalist
Blowing
and
it
like
up and-
making
yeah.
like
I don't
making it a
know.
much bigger
I don't know.
deal than it is.
Incident of
It is a
clickbait.
spaceship. It has to have a good freaking. This power source has to be
That's
fucking
true.
strong.
Yeah, I
so
mean, yeah,
they
maybe
must
some of
be
the power source
huge
is pretty
explosion.
explosive.
Yeah.
so.
Well, and all
Yeah.
it takes is like a certain kind of reaction, or maybe like the energy source they had is very volatile. Like they're not meant to
It's like
crash,
like a-
obviously. Like so, if
yeah,
they do,
obviously.
maybe it's a big deal, you know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, any
Yeah,
kind
it
of probably
was like-
interruption probably makes a pretty big explosion. So
even if there's like a single like person tiny spaceship that was ran by a tiny nuclear reactor would probably explode pretty big too.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, what if they're using nuclear power or something, or you know, who knows?
Yeah. They test the radiation levels on the farm afterwards.
What if
Well,
their
that's
compliance
another
safety
interesting
standards aren't
detail
very
is
good?
that they took the
Get closer to your
pieces of
microphone.
the UFO and they basically shoved it down into the well and covered it up. And so a guy goes later and buys the property, and I don't know if he knew this or he didn't care about it, but he went and goes and clears out the well and starts using it for his drinking water, and develops severe arthritis. He says he got from the drinking water. And they said that they
huh.
went back and he actually pulled out the pieces they pulled out from the well and they examined it, and they said it was high parts of aluminum and a mysterious metal that they didn't know what it was.
Really?
And they said the water was high in aluminum, which probably gave him the arthritis.
Yeah. Wow.
So
What
that's
the
an
heck?
interesting detail.
was
that
made
kinda
of
gives you a little bit-
aluminum.
I mean, aluminum can't be that bad, right? I mean,
Yeah.
So they're
okay.
riding around with nuclear engines and side aluminum cans.
It's a soda can that they makeshifted. You know
that
what?
just sounds
What
like an
if
explosion waiting to happen? So
it makes me think that like, what if an alien crash landed here or something, and he's like, you know, shit, I gotta find a way to get back home. I gotta get back into space, but I don't know how to make a, you know, I don't have the materials I need to make a craft. All I've got some of the wreckage of my other craft and these soda cans from this that I can find. You know, maybe he landed in a freaking recycle place, and he's like, God, all I got to work with is these like these stupid soda cans. So I don't know. I can imagine if he's like had to make a makeshift spacecraft out of something using parts of another spacecraft. Maybe, I don't know.
maybe.
Did they have soda cans back in 1897?
Oh yeah,
I
you're
don't
probably
know.
right. I didn't think about that. Well, they probably
Yeah,
had
like,
cans
hard
of
to
some
work with.
kind, right? Maybe.
Or
I
like
don't know.
canned chicken or something.
Yeah, maybe. Well, did they? I don't know. When did we start canning stuff? I don't know.
I think they started using
During a war.
back then, but tin was a lot cheaper than aluminum. Aluminum's actually pretty hard to work with before we
Yeah.
got modern,
That's true.
manufacturing stuff. So,
And that does kind of support the fact that it might be, it might be like an alien kind of thing because aluminum's not really that, readily available to people back then.
yeah. And another interesting thing is that, like, one of the episodes of like UFO Hunters, they went to the cemetery to look for the body because they said that they buried it and they had the headstone.
Yeah.
And they did some like radar with the thing and they found a body, but they couldn't actually tell what it was. And so they're trying to get it exhumed. And so they go away, they do all the paperwork to get it exhumed, and they come back later and the headstone's been moved and there's like a metal pipe where they found the body at and nothing's in there anymore.
Yeah.
Like the people of the town like either took it away or hid the evidence or something like that. So
Wow. Since you just talked about the cemetery, I brought up that picture that we've got loaded up.
the little headstone.
Yeah, well, this is like the
plaque.
little sign
Plaque, yeah.
outside of the fence. Yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about
that. Actually, one of the things about it is that there's been a lot saying that this is a hoax because the town was basically had a big the crops that year were really bad and they had a fire in town that burned a bunch of buildings down.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a railroad that was supposed to go through Aurora and then got changed at the last minute. So there was some mention that this could have been a hoax by the writer of the article. They said that he liked to joke around a lot. Yeah. And maybe he was trying to keep the town alive by getting tourism. So I don't know. But when you think about that, and then the guy getting arthritis from the well, and them finding metal pieces and other things like that, and why would they take that headstone and remove it after people like actually found like the body? And
I guess my question would be, okay, if that's the idea that it was a hoax to bring tourism to the town or whatever, did it work?
I mean, it's still
like,
there.
Did it?
So.
I mean, did it work? Like, did it solve the problems that they were having for that year? And is there any evidence? Like, how does it exactly benefit that reporter?
How much alien tourism back in the day was, like
exactly, yeah.
Something you'd go to, like.
It's not like
we got no money coming in. Let's get a bunch of alien tourists to come here.
Right, and in
1897.
In 1897, it's not like you're gonna be like, shipping your newspaper. I mean, it's gonna be like a newspaper, I imagine, right, or something like that. It's gonna be local. It's not gonna be like a national thing where you're. I mean, back in the 1897, early 1900s, I don't think people were traveling state by state as much. People were probably mostly sticking to their local communities, their local areas.
Their local area.
It's not like we didn't have like airplanes and stuff or like super highly advanced vehicles, cars and stuff. So I feel like that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense unless there's some kind of
I think it's more like the town has that story and they're tired of it and they're trying to get rid of it. So they're like, no, it was a hoax. Nothing happened here.
I could see that.
Nobody, there's no aliens. Nobody got sick from the well.
Well, when you've got like people that grow up, when it happened, it was probably like, whoa, this is cool, and like it's something to identify our community with, and they probably like it and all that. But then as the generations move on, it's kind of like, oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, why did I ever put that article?
Why are we still talking about this? I can
all these tourists coming and looking at town and going to the cemetery.
Well, especially like how big of the town is Aurora? Do we know? Like, is it kind of a small? Not a small town necessarily, but
I don't know.
Relatively small. Because I it makes me wonder if the people of Aurora are sick of the tourists. They're like, we're kind of sick of these people coming in here, and I don't, we don't want this to be what attracts people to our town and stuff.
It only has like 1,500 people now, so it's pretty.
1,500 people? Yeah, I can imagine 1,500 people being sick of, a bunch of touristy people coming in and looking at their town.
It can't really support a lot of tourists, really. I mean,
yeah.
You come in, you get 100 people in there. That's more people than they've seen all year. So.
Right, and the other thing that I can think of too is like if you have a small town and that small town is touristy, like, and it's been that way for this long, then chances are you don't necessarily want to grow your town, right? I mean, if your town's
Yeah.
been a small town and it's been a small town for that long and you've got tourist attraction stuff going on, you're not really looking to expand your town, at least I would imagine. And
It's
Yeah.
not like it's a really popular thing. I mean, how many times have you ever heard of the Aurora Texas UFO crash?
No, not till today.
I mean, it's not a well-known UFO crash, but it's one of the earliest ones, which is strange. So
But
it's not
going
like
back
they
to like
really advertise it too much.
yeah,
what Tyson's saying about the small town, like not wanting to really grow. I mean, if you look at like Tombstone's popular and has tourists, but it's not growing any bigger.
yeah, that's true.
I don't think it really has room to grow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, all they
possible.
have
It's
is a
in the
tourist
middle of
right now.
desert,
Yeah, they
so-
might geographically not really be able to grow. That's possible too.
I mean, they did put that art piece up, so they're kind of embracing it. But I think that kind of some people embrace it, but not everybody in the town embraces it. Kind of like
Yeah, sure.
but this is probably like a local artist. It's like, look at what I did.
Well, and it kind of makes me wonder too, because like if you're
Like the Mothman statue.
I mean, if you're a tourist town, then a lot of your jobs and stuff in the town are probably going to be tourist related, or at least
Yeah.
not all of them, but there's going to be a significant portion of the jobs that are available are going to be touristy related.
Yeah.
You can't really grow the touristy industry that much outside of what you probably have already done. Like, I don't know. I feel like maybe there's politicians and stuff that are like, we need to start kind of breaking off of this because it's kneecapping us a little bit
Yeah.
in terms of industry and all of that. So I
Although
don't know.
You can only
hoax-
go
the
so
hoax
far
thing-
in like 3 gift shops.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got gift shops, you've got tours. I mean, what else can you do?
Yeah.
Like
That's a
And they
short ass
finally got, like, a
tour.
big hotel or anything
Yeah,
in
like-
town. And,
well, maybe it's a
Yeah.
tour around town, and then it's like, go
Yeah, it's
check
like-
out. Here's our
That's
small
the
little
windmill.
town. There's the windmill.
There's a graveyard.
This is the cemetery. This is the story. This is what happened. Now go
Yeah.
to our gift shops
There's
and
a
buy a
gift
bunch
shop,
of
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So I don't know.
We also got a
Well,
barbecue place.
The
Pretty good.
hoax theory primarily came from an interview from
Tourist towns always have a
and,
barbecue place.
Etta Pughes, who claimed that there was no windmill and that there was no that this was a big joke. But they went back later and they found pieces of the windmill.
Yeah, I was gonna
And,
say bullshit. That there was no windmill. There's always a
Right.
fucking windmill
Yeah.
in one town at least.
That is kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's like a weird claim to make.
Especially in
Well,
Texas, we need to pull up water
What?
from underground. There's gonna be a windmill.
If you're gonna claim that something is a hoax, why is your sticking point the windmill and not like the alien life form?
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
like
he's saying that there's no windmill,
No
that they could have crashed into it. So
It's like might as well have been like, there's no such thing as there was no cemetery. What are you
She's like-
talking about?
what? Yeah.
But it just seems weird that that's the thing that she would talk about, and they go back and find
Yeah.
pieces of the actual windmill. So,
Yeah.
and then
It's-
they found, like, MUFON went and investigated, and they found 2 more eyewitnesses. One was named Mary Evans, who was 15 at the time, and her parents went to the crash site but didn't let her go, and they said they discovered the alien body. And another one was Charlie Stevens, who was 10 at the time, and he saw an airship trailing smoke. So, I mean,
Okay.
it makes it more legit when you have extra witnesses. This
Yeah.
lady's been proven wrong that there's no windmill. They found the metal from the grave or from the well that had unknown elements in it.
Wow. If that Charlie kid lived to be 70, that means he saw this alien trailing smoke, and he lived long enough to see the fucking space shuttle go towards the moon.
Wow. Yeah. How crazy would that be?
Yeah.
To like
This was
have that
2005.
life.
This is
but he was
before
like-
they learned how to fly, and they're
Yeah.
like,
So he went from basically like not seeing anything like flying in the sky to seeing alien spacecraft crash, and then also us flying to the moon. Like that's a wild like
yeah, that's a whole
experience
century's
right
crazy,
there.
you know.
Holy crap. It is amazing how like exponential technology is, because you can go, I mean, old people in their 80s and 90s nowadays, it's like, okay, we didn't have they probably had radio, didn't have any TV or whatever, but
No.
now they went from TV to TV with color to movies and like all, you know, Netflix
Yeah.
and freaking YouTube and all of that. Like, wow, that's gotta be.
Even in our generation, like we went from Pong to fucking Unreal
Yeah.
Engine 5.
That's insane.
What
to
was
think
that?
about.
Did you guys see that Family Guy episode where the guy said he saw the lights turn on, he pissed his pants?
He's like, oh my god. Yeah, no, but like, and it just makes me think too, like the difference between even the millennial generation and Gen Z generation or Generation Alpha. There's so many things where like I'll be talking to one of my brother who's a teenager and he'll be talking about some like artist or band or whatever and I'm like, oh my god, never heard of these people in my life. Like I don't know, I feel old. I feel like I'm getting old.
I know.
It's so weird. And they're like, what are you talking about? They're so popular. They're so.
I
I'm like,
understand my
"What?"
parents a lot more now, especially when I
me
see
too.
like Gen Z talking and they're saying all this weird shit. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
I know. Like, oh my
I was
god.
like-
When I started hearing things like skibbity and all that stuff, I'm like, what are you people talking about? There was a video I saw recently that was just like a compilation of like Gen Z like terms and people like speaking exclusively in Gen Z, and I was like, I don't even know what you're saying. Like it's a different language. It's so weird. But anyways, getting back to the story.
I don't even I don't even know how they even get to that shit. It's just like,
I don't
how is that
know.
even related at all that you fucking would associate that word with it?
But
Like fucking cap. It's like, what the fuck?
yeah, I mean, yeah, all that stuff's weird, and right, I totally understand my
fair.
parents now.
Yeah.
But
Get back to the.
But yeah, to tie it back into the whole alien thing, it's one of those situations where like Gen Z is growing up in a culture with a form of technology that, you know, we didn't always have, like the internet, right? They're actually a generation that is growing up with tablets in their hands and everything. Like the millennial generation, even me, who's like a later, like one of the last millennials, it's not a, you know, I still didn't have a phone or anything when I was a kid, right? So we're starting in a different place. So if you think back to the 1897s, like they're starting in a place that's just completely out of this world.
Yeah.
It's entirely different culture, you know, of things that you can't even imagine. So for them to try and explain away, you know, a flying thing that crashed into a windmill and blew up and had something in it, like, you know, how do you even explain that kind of thing, you know, from their perspective?
Another strange thing around that time is there was actually a bunch of reports in the country about a mystery airship that was floating around, and most people thought it was like a dirigible, one of those Zeppelins.
Yeah.
And it was like experimental. This is before the Zeppelins became popular, and so it kind of ties into this, that there's some UFO going around that a lot of people saw. I guess they call it like a wave, but
if we're talking like this is an actual alien, do you think that this was a crash landing, or do you think this was something more local with like the Men in Black involved, and this was like an early Men in Black trying to, I don't know, send out a spacecraft
like
or
experimental, like Men
But
in Black
somebody
airship.
died.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it seems weird that it was only
Maybe it was
going,
a
like,
prisoner
10
or
to 12 miles
something.
per hour, and it crashed and exploded so bad.
maybe there's a
Maybe he was a student driver.
yeah, he's trying to get his license. And he just,
Like easy.
oh my god,
It's like that Bob's Burgers episode. It's like the window was right there. Just hit the brake or turn the wheel.
Yeah.
Tina, hit the brake or turn the wheel.
Yeah. Exactly. It makes me think of like when you're getting your license and like your parents are like, all right, we'll drive you down to the school parking lot and you can do some laps around the school parking lot. They're probably like, all right, we'll fly you down to this third world planet that nobody that they don't. There's a lot of space out there. There's not a whole lot going on.
Space, but you hit the one thing.
Just just make sure you don't hit the one town that's out there.
30 feet.
See that windmill thing? Stay away from that. Goes right to it.
There's nothing up in the sky to get in your way at all, except for this one
10
thing.
miles.
Just don't hit that. Yeah, that's exactly how I picture that going. It's like, oh crap.
Turn the wheel or hit the brake. Turn the wheel or hit the brake.
Yeah.
Imagine how crazy that was that you haven't seen anything in the air. You see a cigar-shaped UFO just flying over your city and
Right.
crashes into
Yeah.
a windmill and just.
Yeah, like
Imagine waking up to that.
I mean,
I just gotta go outside and just.
Nothing to compare it to. I mean, there's nothing.
yeah, because
all you ever see is
nowadays we could say, oh, it was a freaking a rocket, whatever, like a toy
Yeah.
rocket. We could say, oh, it
weather
was
balloon.
a weather thing, a missile, a drone. You know, who knows?
Yeah,
It could
here's
be.
the thing that I'm thinking about. Like, if it was us, and this is how I'm thinking about it, is like I wake up, I go out, I see the windmill, and like it looks like almost like a missile hits it and explodes.
Yeah.
But they said it was going like 10 or 15 miles per hour, so it's just this slow ass shit that's going.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It makes me think of like those little remote control drones that like people drive around, and I can imagine some kid just driving his little thing, and he's like, "Oh crap, it's crap! I can't control
It
it."
makes me want to get like a drone and just put like a fake like UFO skin around it and fly that around.
Yeah.
UFO spotted over
What-
Arizona.
What if there is like a dark pyramid in Texas? I mean, Texas is huge; it's massive. Like,
Yeah.
what if there's a dark pyramid in Texas, at relatively new dark pyramid, and maybe they're like, you know, trying to do.
I mean, this is the second time somebody crashed there, but what if Texas is also a driving range? What if Texas is their fucking DMV training
the
ground?
DMV.
They
Yeah.
keep on crashing there.
I
Yeah.
mean, it is pretty
This is
flat.
our
There's like not a lot of mountains. in
Yeah,
the
no
middle of
mountains and
Texas.
stuff. It would be a good place to do it.
Maybe
Except
like a
Except
parking
that the
lot for the sky,
population's
I
all
guess,
gun ho, and you know, like
Except
they all
Roswell
got-
is New Mexico, but it's close enough. It's just like the whole southern area of Arizona is like that's where you
Yeah.
guys drive around.
Yeah, exactly.
Drive around. There's nothing really there.
Like
Just
this
stay away from the
deserty
mountains.
place. Their Google Maps or whatever like stopped working. They thought they were in Arizona or something, but they're actually in Texas.
Like this isn't Phoenix.
It's like, hold on a second, I missed a turn back there. I need to. Yeah.
I took the wrong turn at Albuquerque.
So I've got a picture pulled up right now. Is this like a art thing or what? This is the sign that says Aurora.
No, that's the picture of what
town.
really happened.
Well, that's not what I mean. I just mean
That's from
like
1887 picture.
is this like a city thing, or is this like something that somebody made, or is this
I feel like
just
that's like an artist installation, but then they had
Yeah.
the city picture there, so it's just like, did they commission the artist?
right?
Because honestly, it's just like he's like a mediocre artist. I'm sorry, but it's just
Yeah,
like
it
cut
wasn't
out.
very good.
Like,
And
I'm gonna
then
put a windmill and a cutout of alien. We got it.
this rock the headstone you were talking about?
I think
That's
it's
what they
a picture of a headstone, but I don't think that's the real headstone.
It's like it's like I think it's like a mockery or a fucking copy of what the headstone was, because that's what they said it was for. It's just like a
Okay,
rock with like a cylinder shaped thing carved into it.
gotcha. Okay, it would be interesting, like if you could find where they actually buried
Yeah,
the
he found
body.
that body. That'd be pretty interesting to see what the
Yeah.
Because there's
DNA
still
on
got to
it,
be
you know?
some sort of DNA signature or something in the soil, or
Yeah, I mean, there's
whatever
probably some kind of
decomposition.
deposit left, Yeah.
Yeah, you would find something. And even if I mean, obviously if you do find something, it's just going to come back as we don't know what it is or inconclusive, but
So,
that in and of itself is evidence.
so they said this UFO hunters went there and they did metal detection on it, and they found the actual grave. And they came back, and there was just a metal pipe where they found the grave at. Why do you think they did that? You think there was nothing there, and they trying to hide the evidence, or
So
Here's
they
the thing that I'm thinking about is basically why would they bury the alien first? But the thing is that if it was like a strong Christian, like religious town and stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
it's basically like, science, hide it.
Maybe when
proves
the
there's
UFO
no
parts,
God,
just put 'em
hide
down the
it,
well,
bury it.
I feel
Bury
like
all the evidence, stick all the pieces into the well. This never happened.
yeah, but then
Back
why
to
would
work,
they
we got
like embrace
farming to
it?
do.
Oh, this is
Oh.
later.
I guess
This is
so.
like 1980 or 1970s when they reemerged the fucking looking in
Yeah.
on it
Yeah.
and the search of and stuff.
I don't know. I find it
'Cause-
fascinating that they would bury the alien life form and like give them the whatever the thing's called,
A
like
headstone.
But like the thing is, like you have to think about like if you're like highly religious, this is like going against your way of life, and you're just like, we can't have this. This is fucking goes against everything that we stand for and stuff.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
mean, that's
spits in
basically
face of
proof
God right here.
yeah,
Fucking
Yeah, they
they might
alien.
have thought about it that way. Yeah, I don't know.
Because if the that's what I'm thinking. Because like they buried it immediately. Nobody was just like, "Hey, we should look at this. This is UFO. This is an alien. We should
I mean,
research this."
Fort
And all
Worth
they're
is
like,
right
"Nope."
there. They're not going to tell Fort Worth that there's an alien crash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
Like,
that's
oh,
true.
Bury
yeah,
it.
right.
Give it a good Christian burial and pray over it so it doesn't go to hell. Just
Like,
Yeah.
come back as a vampire and kill us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like back then too, like they didn't. I mean, that just goes back to the whole perspective thing. Like they didn't have the perspective to really understand what this was. I mean, we had freaking people being burned at the stake for witchcraft and stuff too, like back in history. So it's one of those things where this would probably be really shocking to them, and they would probably be like, they might even think it's a demon or something. Who knows?
Yeah. And they're more like, it seems like they're like, nothing happened here, get rid of the evidence and throw it down the well and go back to work and,
The other thing though too is it only takes one person or like maybe a group of people down at the bar or whatever who's drinking, and like they're like, oh, you know what, let's go see if there's a body there, and then they dig up the grave, and then well, maybe they get caught or something or whatever, they have to hide something or whatever, and they're like, well, replace it with something else so it looks like we weren't there. Who knows? Like it could be anything.
Yes.
maybe even the government
talked to
came
my
sometime and
friend.
got rid,
Yeah.
I talked to my friend from Mexico. He says to put a pinata in there.
Yeah.
It'll work.
He said he knows a lady who makes pinatas. He can make one that looks just like it, I swear. He's like, yeah, Jose down on the corner. He says we can get a pinata from him, and they'll replace it for us. That would be so awesome, dude. Oh my god.
Do you think that guy who got sick from drinking the water from the well, do you think that's because of the UFO, or was it just a coincidence? Or...
I mean,
Well, they found aluminum in his water.
Yeah, I
so
was
I'm
gonna
thinking
say,
it's
I
aluminum
feel
in
like-
the water.
fairly common. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, you're going to find aluminum in groundwater sometimes.
It
Well,
probably
it's like
didn't have
it's,
proper filtration.
pick your dose, pick your poison type of thing. So it's just basically how much doses he was getting of aluminum in his water.
Yeah, I said it was
Yeah.
pretty high levels of aluminum, so maybe it was like a
Yeah.
high aluminum.
How much
deposit
was he
or-
drinking? How often? All that stuff. Like, and if you don't have proper filtration systems, like I imagine they didn't back then, it was just you drink your water,
He probably
Drink.
pulled it out
He
of his
didn't have a
pocket and
Brita.
drank it,
So
so-
he should need
Yeah,
a Brita or a zero.
exactly. Right. So I mean, if he's getting lots of metal in his water and in his system, then I can imagine it, causing all sorts of problems, right? Like we have nowadays different water, water systems or
Cabinets.
whatever. Yeah, places where they keep all the water that have been contaminated, and it's impacting people too. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Does
That's
that
very
point
possible.
to evidence of the UFO, or maybe it was just
No.
aluminum deposit, or
I don't think it necessarily. I mean, the fact that there's a metal signature that they couldn't identify, like that kind of points to maybe there being something else. But
Yeah.
I think high aluminum count in the water doesn't necessarily point towards there being an alien. Maybe that's where they had the well, and then maybe there's an aluminum deposit nearby that's, I don't know. Who knows? So
Seeping into the water or whatever.
yeah.
So
But-
you guys think this is a hoax, or what do you guys? What's your guys' general impression of it?
I don't know. Tor, you go first.
Oh, it's hard to just basically just say, yeah, aliens, but yeah, it's hard to say it's just aliens because it's like I want to say it's just like people fucking hiding evidence and stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, also like the town was having troubles and it's very easy to like do that stuff. But it was not like in the 1950s when the big old alien boom was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I wonder about it too, is because this isn't something that was like a thing, making up hoaxes
Yeah,
about
like,
aliens
put 'em
wasn't
on the
really a
map or
thing back
anything,
then. Yeah. It's not like something that, nowadays we have more of a vested interest in coming up with hoaxes because of the internet and social media and all that stuff. And back in
All
the
right.
1950s, there was a
Like
huge
that
craze
boy in
about
the
it.
bubble thing where
So
Yeah.
this
put his
is
kid
my
in the balloon.
solid end theory for this story is that Texas is the training ground for driver's ed for aliens, and this guy crashed. And then the religious people are like, nope, no such thing as aliens. And they just swept it under the rug, like
Maybe
almost
that's why they do
literally.
it. Because the religious people are going to get rid of the evidence. So like, they're
Yeah.
gonna cover up the crashes. So that's
Yeah.
what we do there.
Man,
All right.
my problem with this whole thing is that it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't sound grand enough. It sounds kind of pathetic.
I mean,
It's
it was going like Mach 2 or something.
It's
like- It sounds just
10 to 12
basically
miles
like
per hour. You can like run faster than that. You're like,
it's
what kind of UFO is this?
it sounds
it
like
sounds like a hot weather balloon crashed into his thing.
yeah,
fast it was going.
Maybe I don't know.
like it makes me think.
And
Okay,
then,
what if?
like the whole thing is just like it's not like holy shit, there's aliens. Like oops, that's bad. It is.
Yeah. It almost makes me think that like a blacksmith or something like made some kind of thing, and then the teenage kids were playing around with it and threw it up in the air, and it came falling down and hit the windmill. It's like kicking your ball over the fence of your neighbor's house. I feel like that that kind of thing happened, and then it hit the windmill, and except for the
Maybe it hit
explosion,
like a-
but the
Maybe it hit
explosion.
a gas
like
pocket. Like when
experimental Zeppelin.
it hit
and
the
they
windmill
crashed
and it
into the
caused a
windmill.
spark that hit a gas
Yeah.
pocket and it exploded.
It was full of
and-
helium or hydrogen
Yeah.
or whatever, and it hit the thing. And
Yeah,
created a spark. And
maybe
and
it
one
was-
of the kids got caught in the explosion because they were playing and they buried him.
yeah, they went by
Oh, they
fire
buried the
guys,
kid.
Like,
Yeah.
call him an alien, call him an alien.
Oh,
Yep.
Right, exactly, and then they have to come up
He
with an
was
excuse.
an alien.
They didn't
but
want to
he's not
get
the alien that we're thinking about. He's from Mexico. He was that kind of alien.
they didn't want to get in trouble, so they were like, "We got to come up with something." Well, but
It
I
was
mean-
Manuel from Mexico, the illegal alien.
oh my god,
Child.
they're like, yeah, there you go. That explains the terminology and the reporting, and then you got to think like to them, what else would be coming from the sky? Like they don't have any other technological explanations for what would come from the sky besides possibly something that's out of this world. So
Yeah.
that's their excuse. It's like just some kids that freaking accidentally broke the windmill of their neighbor's house, and they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna say now? We don't want to get in trouble." And
Let's cover it up by blowing it up.
let's cover it up by we'll dig a grave and we'll like put a little piñata in there so people see that we're putting a body in there. But then we'll go and we'll replace it with a pipe later so they don't find out that it's a piñata later, and it'll be fine.
That makes me think of Stranger Things.
The dark
Yeah.
secret of Aurora.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, all in all, I have a hard time believing that it's an alien because it just seems so minor. But at the same time, like, I guess it's not
minor, but they also
possible.
buried it. Like as soon as this happened, they're like, "Oh, this never happened."
But
there's
I almost don't. But then you could easily explain that the other way, which is how they did explain it, that they were just giving the
it's so
alien life
mundane
its
that,
burial
it's
rights.
like,
Yeah.
why would they be thinking of that? I mean, why would they come up with something like that if there wasn't something that actually happened? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
a humanoid, so they were like, "This is a human. It had feelings. This is a creature of God. We gotta give it proper rights."
Right.
I mean, I guess there was like mysterious
Definitely.
airships going around. Maybe they went off of that and used that as like a, material for the story. But
But I
just
think
that they-
it could come down to just like
it's just so mediocre that you're like.
That's
"There's a
another
kid
thing.
in
Is
the
like,
phone."
if this was
Yeah.
like made up by like the guy who wrote the story, it's just like, this guy created the first fucking UFO or something.
I don't know.
'Cause
Yeah,
It's a cigar-shaped UFO. You know how common that is?
it is common.
And just like, how did he come up with this? It's just
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
how long have UFOs been in
And
existence?
why would it be going so slow if he didn't see it going so slow? Because usually you see a
Yeah.
UFO, they're going really fast.
Right. Well, that's
then
the thing.
again,
They
Yeah,
have a UFO
UFOs.
encounter before.
Well, maybe it was actually they did have the Model T, and that's as fast as Model T's goes. And he's like, that thing is booking it. Holy crap!
He's like, oh my god.
That thing was going as fast as a Model T. It was like almost 15 miles per hour.
Yeah,
It blew my mind.
right, because they don't have any perspective of like how fast something actually is. I mean, how's he gonna say? I don't know.
mean, they have trains.
Right, but they're not gonna
You
know
when they
like
first came out with trains, they thought people were going to explode when they got on them because they're going so fast.
like they're not gonna know things that like break the sound
That's what he was
barrier.
talking about. It was going so fast it exploded at 20 miles per hour.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe. Like maybe it's all just comes down to a matter of perspective. Like they didn't know how to actually explain what they were trying to explain, but they still wanted to sound cool
I guess.
and exciting.
I
You
mean,
know?
even if like it was going like 60 miles per hour, what does he have that to compare it to?
Right.
You've probably never seen anything go 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, and then
The only thing that probably went fastest thing he ever saw was probably like a car going 20. So he's just like, that thing was going like 20 miles per hour
yeah,
or a little bit faster. It
yeah,
was hooking it
it's like oh my
right
god,
into my thing.
right.
And then you like think of us and it's just like,
I just imagine
ticking
like
along.
interviewing the judge at his house. He's like, "Oh my god, this thing was flying and it just crashed into my."
So to him, it's like a fucking race car crashing into his windmill. To us, it's like the alien was riding a bike and crashed into the windmill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, what if there was no explosion? Like, what if that was literally just an added part to the story because the guy was like, "Oh, come on, this is not as cool as it needs to be, so I need to add something to it."
Michael Bay.
It was an old Michael Bay.
that-
Michael Bay down his family tree. There was a reporter somewhere.
It was an alien riding his bike and crashed
An
into
alien
it.
just
He got
crashed his-
embarrassed, so he threw a smoke bomb down.
Yeah.
Training wheel UFO, and he
He
went.
dropped the substitute body, pinata.
I can just imagine like a little dent in the windmill and like somebody making up a story about it, like, oh my god, something crashed into this windmill, that's why it's all bent out of shape, or like something fell off of it in the wind,
Or like
you know.
it like did hit it, but it like caused up a big old dust cloud. But he caused it was like a giant explosion.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's possible too. What if it wasn't an explosion? It was just dust. Like whatever
Yeah.
fell off the windmill fell down and it made dust, and boom, you have a big puffy dust that comes out, dust cloud, and then yeah, maybe he was like, "Oh my god, that's an explosion," you know? I don't
Yeah,
know.
just a kid in like a little like toboggan and fucking it jumped off a ramp and crashed into the thing.
It also makes me think like you can throw baseballs like really 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 fast, right? Like up to 90 plus miles an hour, right? You can throw a baseball really
Faster than
hard.
15 miles per hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot faster than 15 to 20 miles per hour. And I'm not saying it was a baseball because it was cigar shaped, but what if it was like a like a dart kind of thing, or it was some kind of throwing object that they were playing around with, or some object that they were throwing that you could actually make go faster than 15 to 20
The
miles an hour.
blacksmith made the first missile.
Yeah, it's like a missile
Let me
type
test
thing.
this out. Fuck this judge.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate my neighbor. Dang, judge ruled on my case.
I'll teach you for calling me guilty for drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's public drinking, but
Public intoxication. Public intoxication, my ass.
How is this for community service? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I don't know. That's
Like,
what.
oh shit, I killed a kid.
Exactly.
Buried a boy. Buried a boy.
But then, order of operations, they're gonna say, okay, it came from the sky. What else could it possibly be? Like, they're not gonna have any idea. They have no frame of reference. They have no perspective. The
Yeah.
only thing they could possibly say is that it's otherworldly. Like, must have came from outside of the planet because nothing can fly up there. Like, unless it's a bird or whatever.
It's good that they said otherworldly. They didn't say like it was from God.
Right. Yeah.
God
So.
sent a metal cigar that was smoking and it blew up the judge's
Yeah.
fucking thing because they got God's judge's sinned or something.
Maybe it was a cigar.
And he was stripped of his title.
Maybe, dude.
I think it was just basically somebody put dynamite in a metal tube and threw it.
Yeah, it could be that too. A pipe bomb.
That was smoke. Yeah, first
What
pipe
if?
bomb.
Yeah, the first pipe bomb to be made. I don't know.
Yeah, they're mad at the judge.
Yeah, maybe they're just.
And apparently a boy got hit and it got caught in it and fucking They had to bury him.
Yep. Had to
Right.
come up with a good story.
Oh my
Put it in the
God!
newspaper.
What? Okay, what about this? What about this? What if it was a pipe bomb? But what if it was done by the judge? Or what if the judge didn't want to be blamed for this? He didn't want the blowback, the political blowback, or to have any problems, so he came up with this story. He paid off the reporter, and he's like, look, man, like, I don't know, this kid died on my property. I don't want to, I don't want this blown back on me, so I need you to help me, make up a story for it. Who knows? Maybe that's it. Maybe the judge himself didn't make the bomb, but maybe a kid was playing around with something, died on his property, and he's like, we need to cover this up. I don't know.
I don't know, judges could be pretty shady sometimes, so
It's possible. I mean, if
and
you
they
want
got
to,
lots of pull.
yeah, that, and he's probably like, a lot of people don't like judges, right? Because when you see a judge, when you interact with a judge, it's probably because you're in a courtroom and they're trying your case, right? So it's like, I imagine judges they probably have like a reputation of being like these trustworthy, honorable people, but they're also people that I imagine the rest of the town's not really going to like if they've had any interaction with the law, then, so I don't know. Maybe he was in a situation where he's like, I don't want to lose my, job, or I don't want anything to blow back on me, so we got to cover it up.
Yeah. Who knows? It's so long ago, and there's so few details. I mean, why did they go more into the description of the UFO or the description of the body? I mean,
Yeah, I wonder, like, if the reporter knew that there was a body and he knew, like, whatever, like, why wouldn't he want to talk more about that? Like,
yeah,
like I've worked in media, and like they will squeeze like however much they can get out of a story, right? Like if a story is trending or it's doing well or whatever, it's going to be like, okay, how else can we, what other angles can we look at this story from? What other angles? Granted, back in the 1890s that, their ideas on reporting probably,
newspaper.
yeah, they're reporting like philosophy or whatever probably isn't the same as it is nowadays, but at the same time, I would think that, if there's something that's a big deal or it's getting a lot of traction or a lot of people want your newspaper for it because of the story, then you're going to want to keep doing stories about it.
To have a funeral for it. They could have time to write a couple more articles or at least take a picture of the body or something,
Yeah, exactly.
They had photographs back then, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's going to be moving around or anything. You got to worry about that. So, I mean, still
fine. But then again,
video cameras back then, because they got the Wright brothers.
Yeah.
Or that's 10 years later, though. Yeah.
Well,
6 years later.
Even though, okay.
Yeah,
but,
they could definitely do that then.
So what if there was, though? What if there actually was pictures and there actually was video and stuff of this, but the Men in Black come in the picture and they're like,
old Men in
we
Black
can't be doing this. We're going to have to cover this up. We can't completely cover up the story because
like
then it looks
case.
too suspicious. Yeah. Like, we can't completely cover it up.
It was like
but we
Men in
need
Black
to...
Year One, like
yeah.
Batman Year One.
We're going to need to hide some evidence. We're going to need to take the body. We're going to need, there's probably certain things that they were like, look, we have to do these things at least. And maybe we can let the town...
No more articles. You're not going to report on this anymore,
Yeah, exactly.
Take your pictures. We took your pictures. You can't have any pictures of it,
Yeah. I don't know. I can imagine that happening.
UFO in the well.
Because as long as aliens have interacted with the planet, I imagine the Men in Black must have been involved in some capacity, right? For the most part, right? Because if you're capable, if the technology is up to the point where you can travel through space and you can visit other planets and stuff, the only way that these alien creatures are going to get to us, in my imagination, is either they're part of a government agency or the technology has advanced to the point where the government is allowing that technology to be used by consumers. But if it is being used by consumers, then there's going to have to be some kind of regulation or some kind of law enforcement or some kind of governing body, watching people. It's not like, I don't know. That's
Yeah, you're
that's
not
my
gonna-
perspective, right?
I
Like,
mean, if you got all that technology, you're not going to just throw it at the public. It's got to trickle down to them, like a little bit at a time, or else they're going to just go crazy.
right, exactly. It's gonna start with the
I mean,
government
you
or
can't just throw
whatever.
televisions at them and jet
Yeah.
cars and
I mean, that's the thing.
helicopters.
It's just like here, right? Like we don't like space travel. We've been able to send things up
watch
to
the
space.
progression of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, we've been able to
send.
send things up to space for a long time now, but it's still not commercially available. It started with the government. Now there's privatized organizations that are doing it, but it took a long time to even get to that point. So it's like, well, it must be some kind of governing body, a governing alien body that was traveling around, or if it was, them using the DMV or something, there's probably some men in black that are keeping an eye on them. I would imagine.
I wonder how long the Men in Black have been around. I mean, they
I
said
don't
that George Washington had an alien encounter.
Oh, really?
They actually saw like a floating orb when he was going to some battle or something. I don't know the details, but yeah, he said some kind of alien encounter. So that's kind of interesting. But
Huh.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, that the aliens have been dealing with governments for a while. They've been around for thousands of years, so I'm sure they had to deal with the people and come up with some kind of strategy to develop or.
Well, depending on how the technology works, like if they're using some kind of wormhole technology or whatever, then I feel like distance isn't really much of an issue, right? Because you're
Like if they could just pop in for a while.
yeah,
and
you're
pop
going
back out.
you're going from like one place in space to another place of space, but then
Or even if they're interdimensional, it makes it even easier. You just
yeah,
walk through the door and walk
yeah,
back out.
exactly. So depending on the technology, it could be like, the universe
Yeah, the-
is several
depending where
billion
the-
years old.
Yeah, where
Who
their
knows?
orientation is from. If they're either from a far off planet or another dimension,
Yeah, right.
or some people even say aliens could be us from the future coming back to like monitor us before we destroy ourselves.
Yeah. I don't know. So
Yeah. They need to come out and tell us what they're doing, where they come from.
one of these days, like I imagine the freaking Men in Black are gonna like come out during some kind of presidential speech or whatever, and they're just gonna like explain everything, or they're gonna walk out some alien creature and like just be like, "All right, this is so and so," and
That's what a lot of people think that
they've been running the picture.
thing they've been doing
you know.
lately with the stuff they did on Capitol Hill with that what was that guy that just did that thing with Congress where he talked about UFOs and
Oh yeah, that
all
guy.
that is a slow trickle out of information that they're trying to.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be a crazy wake up call then when we get to that point where people are just like, yeah, here they are. This is.
I don't know how much more. I mean, the guy basically said there's UFOs here. He knows about it, and nobody said anything. They're like, oh, all right, cool. What else is on TV?
Yeah, people don't. I think that. I wonder if that's a sign that we're reaching the point where they're just going to be open about it. Soon.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what everybody's saying is they're getting ready to spill the beans on it.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to do it slowly as possible. I mean,
Because-
Feel free to come on our podcast to spill the
Yeah.
beans.
If you
Yeah,
are an
yeah.
alien life form from another planet,
and this
feel
is the
free
best way
to
trickle
shoot
it out
us an
slowly
email.
because nobody even listens. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a great
Right,
place
two
to
people.
trickle out your story slowly. No one's
Yeah, I
watching,
mean-
so you're good.
You get like maybe 100 hits on Instagram after we make it a little short. But
yeah,
that's
exactly.
about it.
We'll make a short.
And usually it's just like two people like it. The rest are just like, whatever.
Yeah.
So Men in Black, if you want to display, talk about yourself, come on the show.
Yeah, if you want to
We'll
sponsor the podcast, then yeah, we'll let you guys control the writing decisions. There you go. You can decide. I'm
I'm still waiting for the interview with the blondes and, much more.
Oh, you haven't had that yet? Oh.
No, did you?
Yeah, I had
It looked like they were coming for you.
The commander that was the brunette. Yeah, she showed up. That's why my power went out that one day. Yeah.
You were supposed to do a whole episode about that. I guess you gotta do that next time.
Well, I signed an NDA, so.
Why would you do that? You know, we have a podcast.
Okay, you weren't faced with a beautiful brunette alien chick that was DTF. You know, you didn't have that opportunity.
Do that, you know?
Yeah.
Any podcast he wants. So.
You're telling me you wouldn't sign an NDA to do that kind of thing? All right.
You know how much money we'd make
To
that
each
way.
their own.
We want money. You're just thinking about your second head there.
Well, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you got a point. No. All right. Well,
Yeah, that's a great place to end.
that is a good place to end it right there. Okay. All right. Well, hey, if you're watching this now or later, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Full Grown Pizza podcast. We appreciate you guys. Make sure to hit the like, follow, and subscribe button. I also put a link down in the description to our Buy Me Coffee link if you'd like to donate to us and support the podcast and what we're doing.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah, we're also streaming
tell a friend about our episode because nobody's really watching.
Yeah, make sure to share the podcast too. Share it with your friends.
Like and share, yes.
The podcast,
they like aliens.
I do want to say this because I think like people might tune in and think, oh, these are just a bunch of guys, whatever, talking. But like the podcast is going to be so much more fun when the community is actually involved and engaged. Because like not only can you help us come up with ideas or topics, but each of these episodes is just like throwing out the most wild, crazy theories that we can come up with, and you guys get to be a part of that. So make sure to share this with people. The more people we can have watching and commenting and joining in on the conversation, the more fun this is going to be, and the more we can turn these podcast episodes, make them even crazier. So
yeah, maybe we can actually get interviews with people. That'd be nice.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, that's a good point too. We could like present our theories to experts and see what they think.
I just watch them roll their eyes and
they'd be like, "Oh my god, these guys are ridiculous." But hey, you could laugh at us, so that would be fun.
Yeah. We're here to make you laugh. Anyway,
exactly.
so.
Yeah, it's all in good fun. So
none of this is serious.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You seriously think that it's the fucking DMV for fucking aliens to learn how to test drive?
Yeah, you think we're really serious about that? Okay. TikTok does apparently, but So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching. Hit the like, follow, subscribe button. Make sure to share it with a friend. Leave a comment in the comments section. Let us know what you guys think about our theories. What are your theories about the Aurora, Texas UFO crash? What do you think happened?
Whose theory is correct?
Yeah, exactly. So
I don't think Mike gave us a theory.
What is your theory, by the way? We'll end with that.
I think it was just so long ago that there's just not enough details to go off of what they said. And
on the fence answer, bullshit. All right, let's go. Play that outro.
All right, I'm saying that's a DMV. That's your answer. It was a DMV. Okay. All right.
I think if it really happened, there'd be a lot more detail.
We'll see you guys.
Not enough information for an accurate answer. Hey, like I can see your fucking crock pot in the background. Do
My
that
crock
again.
pot? Do what?
No. You have a crock pot in your background too?
Yeah, I got a crock pot. It's cooking right now. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I'm ending the podcast episode. I'm ending the episode now.